Grumble, grumble. Hey everyone, it's the Grumpy Meeple, and I'm coming back at you with some hot, new, local, North Denver metro area gaming news. So this is going to be pretty specific to the region of the country that I live in, and so it may not be your cup of tea, frankly. And if it's not, that's no problem. Feel free to move on and find something else to watch. But for me, it's really exciting because I live in the kind of in a suburb of Denver, north suburbs of Denver / Boulder, in Colorado, and this area has always been, for the last 10 years at least, kind of a dead zone in terms of fun places to hang out, fun nerd, gathering places. There are no board game stores within like a 10-mile radius of my house. You have to drive 2 or 3 towns over to get to a board game store. There are no board game cafes anywhere near here. The nearest one is probably in Fort Collins, which is 35-40 miles away, and there's just not a lot to do, especially not if you're a board gamer. Like when I need to go out and pick up primer or something basic like that, for my hobbying, I have to drive like 35-40 minutes to get to a store, and it's been a constant source of frustration for me with the area that I live in, and it's to the point where I have actually seriously considered moving my family, specifically because I'm so bored with the options for kind of nerd fun around here. But no longer, because now, from the blackest depths of despair, a new hero has arisen. And that hero is Do-Gooder Game Cafe, which is opening soon in Thornton, Colorado, by the Costco off of I-25. I told you it was going to be super specific. But there might be stuff in here that everybody's interested in. Like what are the kind of things that I'm looking for in a board game store? I've been to probably 100 board game stores in my lifetime, and all of the board game stores in Colorado, and there are certain things that I'm looking for, and there are things that are really lacking in this region. And having gotten to poke my head into Do-Gooder Games and talk with the owners and the staff, I'm really excited about the opening of this particular store / cafe, because it's kind of ticking all my boxes. And basically this means that I don't need to move my family to Minnesota anymore just to be able to have fun without driving 2 hours there and back. So, the name of the store is Do-Gooder's Game Cafe. It is at 16639 Washington Street, Thornton, Colorado, 80023. It's not open yet. It is opening very soon, hopefully. They are basically just waiting on their dishwasher being repaired. This is not a joke. This is what they told me. And then a final inspection, and then they're hoping to be able to soft launch, immediately following that. So I've been waiting for this store to open for months. Somehow I heard about it somewhere on Facebook, or one of my friends mentioned it. So I've been stalking these guys on Facebook and posting snarky comments about when are they going to open, and stupid memes from the Transformers movie, of all things. And you could probably find this stuff if you just went to their Facebook page. Today I went out to have lunch with a couple of buddies of mine, and we just happened to be going to the cheesesteak place that's right down it's in the same kind of shopping center as Do-Gooder is going to be. And I told my buddy, I said, park on this side so that we can walk by Do-Gooder and look in the windows. And he was like, okay, cool. So we roll up. I plaster myself against the window, basically, frantically trying to get a look inside, and one of the employees, the manager of the store, came right up, opened the door, and said, "Hey, come on in, guys. You want to check it out?" And we were like, "Fuck yes!" And it was really awesome, and it has me just at like a fever pitch of excitement for this store's opening now. This cafe's opening, and so I need to talk about it, and I also want to get it out there, and I want to get this out there. I'm gonna throw it on their Facebook page, and hopefully, some of the other people who are salivating to get into the store can take a look at this and get a sense of what is going to be on offer and the size of the space and everything, because it's really cool and it's pretty unique for this area of Colorado. So yeah, let's take a look at the store, and I'm just basically going to narrate through a bunch of pictures that I took of the space while we were hanging out in there. So right off the bat, when you walk in, the first thing you see is a bunch of play tables right in front of you. And philosophically, and I talked with them about this, like the design philosophy of putting the tables up front, because that's a very unusual thing in this part of Colorado. Typically what you're looking at is you'll go to a store and the retail space is up front, and the tables that are in the back are kind of a whole nother area, and they're very clearly focused on a very particular type of player, either basically a 40K player or a TCG card game player, right? It's a hardcore crew that hangs out at these stores at the tables, and it's not really the kind of place where you just like walk in and plop a game down and start playing. It's not the kind of place where you would host a meetup, really. They're pretty small and a little claustrophobic, and that's just kind of how the stores run around here. So I walk in, and the first thing I see is a shitload of tables right at the front of the store. Plenty of chairs, plenty of tables. They've got these nice, comfy sitting chairs where maybe you just want to hang out for a little bit, and they've got a kids table that you should be seeing here, where you're a spot for your kids to post up and mess around with a game, or even just to sit and watch their iPads. And I'm just like immediately blown away by the feel of the store. It just feels really accessible and inviting, and like the kind of place that you would post up for a few hours, rather than just like going in, looking at shit, maybe buying something because you feel guilty about walking out without making a purchase, and then you go. This looks like the kind of place where you show up like, on Thursday afternoon or whatever with your buddies, and you sit down and you play and you have some coffee and you get some snacks, and you just hang out, And there just aren't a lot of those types of places around here. All the board game meetups that I've ever been to, including the one that I ran, have been at local breweries, and that's fine. Sometimes it works out really well, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you're going to a board game meetup at a local brewery for years and hosting it, and all of a sudden they start playing live music that night, and the whole meetup is basically abandoned, and you have to move on and find a new place to post up. And it's never a space that's actually designed for board games. It's like the tables are always kind of like they're not through their tooth. They're like these thin, like kind of Prost beer tables, or they're just like you're sitting up high, and they're just not like a comfy hangout place to play games at. And this place is, like, right off the bat. The tables are all, basically uniform size. They've got a set of normal size kind of tables for your standard, your standard game of whatever, Splendor or I don't know, I can't even think of normie games. Or even something like Imperial Salt or something like that. And then they've got a number of larger tables that are specifically, to seat more people, and a set of wargaming tables that are actually from another local store that were used as wargaming tables. So they're very much set aside for that. And then they've got a kind of event area space where they've got even more tables, kind of full-sized gaming tables that are custom built and have like a recessed play area, like a game table, like legit game tables. And so right off the bat, I mean, it looks like this store could accommodate like, I don't know, it's got to be like 70 or 80 players at once without it feeling claustrophobic, because you have some stores that, they do have a play space and maybe they're not quite as kind of hardcore and uninviting as, like your 40K dungeon that you walk into just to get some primer. But they still are not large spaces in general. This is by far, I think, the biggest, most open, board game play space I've seen in Colorado, basically. So right off the bat, it's very welcoming. It feels like the kind of place where you would have a meetup, where you would go with your friends on a Friday night and just play some games and just get out of the house, because that's actually surprisingly hard to do if board gaming is your hobby, and especially if you want to play a specific type of game. I tend to play these big miniatures games, and they are not the kind of thing you walk into fucking TGI Fridays with. They're huge, they're expensive, and you need a lot of space, even just on the floor, to just like put shit, and you never have that at your kind of fast casual American eatery. This place totally looks like they could accommodate that. So very exciting right off the bat. Set the mood, and the mood is, hey, this is an open, comfortable, bright space with lots of natural light. It's not a dungeon. Moving on, they've got a bunch of they're kind of shelving up already. The store isn't even open yet, so I took some pictures of the selection in terms of games that they had on stock, but don't judge them by that because it's obviously incomplete and they're not even selling shit yet. So, but they've got kind of your standard mix of like Fantasy Flight / Atomic Mass games stuff, X-Wing and Shatterpoint and Armada, and some your normal kind of hot games. They actually have a copy of Heat, which I'm just now noticing, and that's actually hard to find. So I might have to go back there and pick that up. But nothing super crazy. But again, it's early going, obviously, and they need to establish a basic retail footprint before they start going too crazy with stocking Kingdom Death Monster or something. As you move through the store, so it's a board game cafe. So they have coffee, that they're brewing or whatever on site. They're making up your fancy drinks, your espressos and stuff. I don't really know anything about coffee other than it makes you jittery as fuck. When I drink it, at least, and I'm not an aficionado, so I can't get into the specifics of, they make a delicious caramel macchiato there. We'll put some fucking sugar in it and have it make me an unstoppable rage monster for an hour, and we're good. But they're going to have coffee and food to some extent. It's not a kitchen, it's more, they're going to have a selection of like pizzas and stuff that they can warm up that are custom made, just not by them. It's not like a Totino's pizza. It's like they're getting it from a local pizza chain or whatever, and they're just serving it in the store. And as you move through the store, they've got again these larger wargaming tables and a big game library in the back that they're working on getting spun up. I'll probably be taking in some donations just to get some stuff out of my house that they might be able to get some use out of. So they have plans to have like a rental program where You come into the store, you give them your name, you can take a game, play it as much as you want in the store. If you want to take it home, I don't know, maybe there's a small fee. But it was described to me as like, a place where maybe you want to get together with your friends and play Catan or something like that, but you don't actually have a copy of the game on hand. Well, it's like, hey, let's go over to Do-Gooders and we can just play it there. And then they've got, they've got the makings of and started setting up like all your hobby essentials. So your paint and primers and glues and brushes and stuff are going to be available there too. Moving on. So next they've got this really cool event room. And this is cool for a couple of reasons. So first of all, it's a large secondary space. So a lot of stores will have a more private space where you can play games, even a space where you can rent it and have a more kind of private experience for a period of time. But they're typically pretty small. They usually only fit like up to 8 people max, and that's kind of a stuffed space. And one of the owners of the store was actually telling me that she runs a local LARPing society or what have you, live action role playing, and they have this kind of an event that they like to run, which is like a tavern meetup where everyone comes in costume and you're role playing in, like a tavern, like a bar, like in D&D. And she was telling me that it's really hard to find a space that will accommodate, because she's got like 25 players who are interested in coming, and there's just nowhere to put them. There's no restaurant, the back of an IHOP or something. She mentioned they've tried that before. Short of like renting out some kind of convention space, like at a hotel or something, there's just no place to accommodate that kind of a gathering, where it needs to be private, but it also needs to not like cost, an arm and a leg to rent. It needs to be the kind of place you don't necessarily have to reserve 2 months in advance, and so they built this event area. They just like tripled the size of the normal like kind of gaming event set aside space that you would normally see. So it's got 3 full size like 6x4 tables in it, and there might even be 4. And you can see here the tables are custom made by, I believe, by a local master woodworker. I don't know what the fuck to call them. And they've got a recessed playing area, which is really cool. Similar to my game topper, but, in table form. And they've got tons of chairs and a space that would easily accommodate like 25, 30 people. So if you're local to the area and you've got a board game meetup and you want to host it, you want a place to host it that's going to be, quiet and clean and nerd friendly, this would be perfect. Whether you rent the space out or maybe you just hang out there and you talk to them about their policies on all that. Very cool space, tons of table, and just again, like totally unique to the area. There's really, really nothing like this anywhere around here. So that was very cool. And then they've got another really interesting kind of an oddity of this store. They've got a streaming room. So, and this is really cool. I might even actually get a chance to use this, because the idea here is, hey, do you host a local board game podcast or something, or a sports podcast, or fucking talk radio or something? I don't know. And you need a space to stream in that's well lit, that has, monitors and such set up so you can plug in all of your gear and professional lighting. They have a space in the store that's specifically designed for that, and you're seeing it here now. And so they're going to be doing their own live stream kind of content from here. Probably, I don't know, if they have plans for all sorts of crazy events. I don't even want to kind of get into that. I'm going to try to go back and interview the owners. They can tell you all the details about all the cool ideas that they have for live streaming events and also, in-person events. But the idea is that not only are they going to use it for themselves, but if you have a need for, professional lighting, for example, for your podcast, and you don't want to just go out and buy it. Like, this is perfect for somebody like me. Like, for years, I've thought about getting some of these. You can see these larger lights with the kind of cowl around them. I've thought about getting those for years, but I don't want to just go out and buy, a $200 light, and I have no idea if it's even going to meet my needs. This would give me a really good place to actually try it out. And they've got a decent-sized custom gaming table in there with, again, the recessed play area and all the mounts and everything that you would need to mount a camera or a phone or a tripod or whatever. It's just a really cool space, and this is 100% unique. I've never seen anything like this at any game store. So, and basically, they're really trying to... They talk a lot about, on their website and on Facebook, about kind of making an inclusive gaming space and just an inclusive hangout. And I think you really see it in the design of the store, again, with the large amount of seating and tables, the openness of it. It's clearly designed to be a play space / cafe first. They have a retail store, obviously, and they're going to be selling all sorts of awesome games. You can pick something up on a Friday night, again, just on a whim, instead of having to drive 25 minutes to do it. But there's a heavy focus on community and people hanging out, having fun, playing games. On top of that, they've got the event space, which is going to allow for larger gatherings, and I imagine even birthday parties and stuff, at some point. I mean, that would be really fun, maybe for your kids, like 10th or 12th birthday, host a gaming birthday party and just play stuff off of the shelves. Like, that could be really fun. I think my kids would love that. And then they've got this wargaming space and a streaming space. And it's all very, very clean, it's brand new, so obviously it's clean, but it's just very open and bright and warm and welcoming in a way that the vast majority of game stores aren't, especially around here. They're usually much, much smaller, like a third the size of this place, if even that. They're kind of dark, some of them are pretty dingy, and they're retail first. So the shelving is all up front, and the tables are tucked in the back and are really probably nobody's wandering in off the street who isn't a gamer already and like coming in just to, hang out or to meet new people. It's like you're part of the 40K crowd and you're coming in on Tuesday at 6 p.m. to play Warhammer all night, or you're going to an MTG booster pack opening or whatever the fuck they call those events on Friday nights, And so it's inclusive to a specific group of people, but not broadly. This looks like the kind of place where just a couple could just be walking by and be like, oh, wow, that looks fun. Look at that space. Let's go in there and have some coffee and play a game, And so I think you can tell I'm just super excited about the opening of the store. I cannot wait. I'm so excited I got to get in there and check it out. And hopefully you'll be seeing some more content from me in the future related to the store, because I'd like to use the power of my massive 499 subscriber base to shine a light on this awesome new store. And so let me know what you think in the comments. Again, if you don't live in the North Denver metro area, maybe this isn't super useful to you, but I think you get a sense of the kind of thing that I'm excited about with this store in particular, and how it's a little bit different than a lot of the other stores that I've been to. So that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you later.